Welcome! Today we're going deep into the Capstone Project Writing Service offered by UK Essays. If you're a final year student facing a capstone project and feeling the pressure, this breakdown will help you understand exactly what the service includes, how it works, and what has changed with the new, cheaper pricing that went live in November 2025. Let's start with the basics. A capstone project is usually one of the biggest assignments of your whole degree. It appears in undergraduate final year programs and in many master's degrees. Unlike a normal essay, a capstone project is designed to make you apply everything you've learned throughout your course. You're asked to identify a real-world problem in your field, design a project or research plan, gather and analyze data, evaluate the results, and then present conclusions and recommendations. It is a long piece of work, usually taking between 2 and 4 months of consistent effort if you do it from scratch. And because it often counts for a big percentage of your final grade, it's high pressure, high stakes, and time-consuming. UK Essays positions their Capstone Project Writing Service as a complete solution to that challenge. They highlight that the service can either cover the entire project or individual chapters, depending on what you need. They state that the work is handled by experienced academic writers with qualifications in the subject area you choose. They also emphasize quality control, plagiarism checks, and a 7-day amendment period where you can request changes. The ordering process is straightforward. First, you submit your order and specify your required grade level, your subject area, the word count, and the deadline. You also include any documents you already have, such as your assignment brief or your university's capstone guidelines. Second, you provide the detailed requirements, including whether you need an abstract, appendices, specific chapter structures, interview questions, project planning frameworks, or anything else your university expects. Third, once the details are confirmed, an academic writer is assigned and the project begins. Throughout the process, you're kept updated on progress. Now let's break down what a typical capstone project includes and what UK Essays promises to deliver. The first component is the abstract. This is usually around 250 to 300 words and acts as a quick, clear summary of your aims, your methodology, the key findings, and the recommendations. The next section is the introduction, where the writer identifies the real-world problem you are addressing, explains why it matters, and outlines your objectives, your research questions, and the overall scope of the project. Next comes the literature review. This is one of the most time-consuming parts of a capstone. It requires analyzing recent academic sources, identifying gaps in existing research, and connecting these gaps to your own project. The goal is to prove you understand the academic background behind the problem you are tackling. After that comes the methodology chapter. This is where your research approach is justified. You explain if you are using qualitative methods, quantitative methods, mixed methods, surveys, interviews, case studies, or data analysis tools. The methodology chapter also covers sampling, ethical considerations, limitations, and how the data will be analyzed. After the methodology comes the findings and analysis chapter. Not every university requires primary data, but many do. If your project needs interviews or surveys, the service includes the analysis of that information. If your project is library-based, the writer will analyze secondary research instead. Finally, the conclusion and recommendations chapter summarizes the full project, explains how the objectives were met, and gives practical next steps based on the findings. Some universities also require a reflective section, or an internship evaluation, and UK Essays supports that too. One of the biggest updates for this service is the new pricing structure. As of November 2025, UK Essays has introduced all new, cheaper pricing for their capstone project service. This is a major change. It means the full capstone, or individual chapters, now cost less than they did in previous years. That makes the service significantly more competitive against many other academic help providers. For students on a budget, this is a meaningful improvement because the cost of long projects like this has always been a barrier. With the price reduction, the service becomes more accessible while still claiming to maintain the same features, including subject-matched writers, detailed project structure, and full quality checks. Let's talk about the real-world usefulness of this service. A capstone project can easily overwhelm students because it requires multiple skills at once: academic writing, research design, data collection, critical analysis, and project planning. If you also have work commitments, internships, family responsibilities, or back-to-back deadlines, completing a capstone on time becomes extremely difficult. That's why services like this exist, to take the heavy load off and produce a structured, academic-level project for you. The strengths of the UK Essays service include flexibility. You can order the full project or just the part you're stuck on, such as the literature review or methodology. You also get access to writers who already understand academic structures, which reduces the risk of formatting errors, missing components, or a weak argument. Another strength is the quality control system. They state that every project is checked internally before delivery and comes with a plagiarism report. That gives reassurance that the work is original and not copied from elsewhere. However, there are also limitations you need to think about. Outsourcing academic work always carries risk. You need to check whether the writing style fits your expectations. You need to ensure the work aligns with your university's rules and ethics. And you need to confirm the deadline is realistic so you can review the work and request amendments in the 7-day window. Another point to consider is that cheaper pricing, while beneficial, may raise concerns about whether quality can be maintained. It's important to judge each order individually and make sure the final product genuinely meets the standard you request. Now let's look at when this service is most helpful. It's ideal for students who have strong understanding of their course but don't have the time to manage a full-scale capstone. It's also helpful for students who are confident in their subject but struggle with academic writing or structuring long projects. If English is not your first language, or if your university expects a highly polished research project, professional writing support can make a big difference. On the other hand, if you enjoy research, if you have the time to plan and write, and if your university strongly discourages external help, you may prefer to handle the project yourself and use the service only for partial support. By lowering their prices, UK Essays is clearly trying to take a bigger share of the capstone market. Many competitors charge premium rates for long projects. With the November 2025 pricing shift, UK Essays is now positioned as a more affordable option with similar claims: subject expert writers, structured chapters, quality control, and amendment support. For students comparing multiple services, the new price point is likely to be a deciding factor. As we wrap up, here are the key points to remember. A capstone project is one of the most demanding assignments in a degree. UK Essays offers a structured service that delivers the full project or specific sections created by qualified writers with subject experience. You get an abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, findings, and conclusions, plus any specialist chapters your university requires. And the biggest update is this: the new, cheaper pricing introduced in November 2025 makes the service significantly more cost-effective while keeping the same feature set. If you're considering using the service, make sure you understand the expectations of your university, check the deadline options, and review the finished work carefully. For many students, especially those dealing with time pressure, this can be a practical tool to manage workload and reduce stress. Thanks for watching, and if you want more breakdowns of writing services and academic help providers, stay tuned for the next review.